everybody, this is Allie. Welcome back to my channel, Color Mama 360. It's time for another video. So good morning, good night, good middle of the night, depending on when you're watching. Today I am doing another artist deep dive video, and today's artist is the one, the only Ela Jarzabek. So I'm excited to kind of share with you what I found about her. She has become one of my favorite artists over the last year, as I've mentioned multiple times, and I own several of her books, including Creepy Kawaii Halloween, Color Me Christmas for Kids, Color Me Easter for Kids, and Color Me Mermaids for Kids. So I am going to be doing a voiceover for this video today on the information that I found about Ela. But if you want to know, I will be basing this page during the voiceover. And just as a little tidbit about how I like to color her art style, this is typically how I approach them. So I like to base her pages with alcohol marker and then go over the top with colored pencil. So if you'd like to see me go over the top of this with colored pencil, you can check out my live this Friday where I will be working on the colored pencil portion of this page. And this Friday's live topic is TV, everything TV, TV shows, reality TV, just TV talk. So if you like talking about different TV shows or what's going on in that realm, make sure to come on over and join me while I do the pencil work on this. That will be Friday at 5:30 to 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I usually start somewhere between 5:30 and 6. So come on and join me over there on Friday. All right, well, let's jump into it. I'm so excited to talk about, like I said, one of my favorite artists, Ela Jarzabek. Here we go. All right, everybody. Today we are diving into one of the most beloved cozy coloring book illustrators in the hobby right now, Ela Jarzabek. If you've spent any time in the cute, cozy, kawaii coloring book side of YouTube or just the regular color tube or Instagram, chances are you've already seen her work, even if you didn't realize it at the time. So her books have become incredibly popular with colorists who love whimsical details, cozy scenes, cute animals, fantasy themes, and pages that feel relaxing instead of overwhelming. So today I wanted to take a full look at Ela Jarzabek's as an artist, who she is, how she got started, what makes her art style so recognizable, and go through a timeline of her releases. Now, if you are not new to my channel, then you will know that Ela Jarzabek is one of my favorite, not new, so to speak, but new to me illustrators that I've discovered in the past year or so. I own several of her books now, and I very, very much enjoy coloring them. I would say I probably colored one of her pages every month this year so far. And what you're seeing on the screen, as I said in the intro, is me basing one of her pages from Color Me Mermaids for Kids. So let's talk about who is Ela Jarzabek. And I really hope that I am pronouncing her last name right. So please give me a little bit of grace if I'm still not getting it right. But my understanding is that it's Ela Jarzabek. So hopefully I'm saying it somewhat right, or at least getting closer. So she studied at Krakow Academy of Fine Arts, where she earned degrees in graphic design and painting before becoming a freelance illustrator. One thing that I found really interesting is that according to her author profile, she loved drawing from a very young age, even adding her own illustrations into fairy tale books where she would properly write before she could properly write. My bad. That honestly makes so much sense once you look at her art style because her work has this really storybook magical quality to it. I really love the way that she does do her illustrations. There's something about them that are just a little bit different than I think what we normally see. So she's illustrated a huge variety of projects over the years, probably even more than you may know if you're just used to seeing her coloring books. She's also illustrated children's books, sticker books, activity books, paint with water books, and then, of course, the coloring books that many of us know her for now. So let's talk about her art style a little bit. What makes Ela's work stand out and how is it instantly recognizable? Well, her art usually combines soft, cozy aesthetics, whimsical fantasy, cute animals, cottagecore vibes, kawaii influences, clean line work, and pages that feel very approachable to color. Now, this last one is something that I really love about her and part of the reasons why she's one of my favorite illustrators. Her pages feel detailed while somehow not feeling overwhelming. They're just detailed enough that they pique my interest as someone who likes a little bit more detail on a page, but they're not so detailed that they feel overwhelming, like I'm never going to be able to get the page done. A lot of her illustrations also have this comforting atmosphere where even spooky themes somehow still feel cute and cozy. And we see that in her book, Creepy Kawaii Halloween, for sure. You'll also notice that her pages tend to balance detail really well, like I was saying. They're interesting without becoming stressful. A lot of colorists say her books are relaxing because you can finish pages without it becoming a massive multi week project, which I agree with. Like I said, I always feel like her pages just have the right amount of detail for what I'm typically looking for. I also think that Ella Jarzabek's became especially popular during the rise of the cozy coloring trend online, at a time when many people were becoming frustrated with AI generated coloring books flooding Amazon and Etsy. Artists like Ella really stood out because people could clearly recognize the handcrafted style and personality in her illustrations. If you showed me a Ela Jarzabek book that I didn't have or wasn't aware of was out, I feel pretty confident I would still be able to recognize her art style, and I would definitely be looking it up to know how there's a book out there that I didn't know about. I think one of the biggest strengths of Ella's work is that her illustrations feel emotionally cozy. A lot of modern coloring books focus on being ultra detailed or trendy, but Ella's books feel comforting. There's usually a very warm atmosphere to her art. And another thing colors really love is that her line work tends to reproduce well in print. That may sound random, but if you've colored in enough books, you know exactly what I mean. Now let's go through a timeline of some of Ella's known releases and illustration projects. This isn't necessarily every single thing she has ever colored or illustrated because she's worked on a lot of collaborative publishing projects, but these are the major known releases I could find. So let's start with talking about the children's illustrations and activity workbook illustrations. So in the 2010s, she illustrated educational and children's books. She worked on fairy, princesses, and animal themed activity books and collaborated with publishers like Usborne and North Parade Publishing. Now, I personally had not heard of North Parade Publishing, but I have heard of Usborne. And so I'm very interested to know now which project she's been involved in. In 2016, she illustrated a children's book called How the Camel Got His Hump, and that was published through North Parade Publishing. And then in 2019, she illustrated a children's book called The Beginning of the Armadillos, and that was also released through North Parade Publishing. She also illustrated a lot of children's activity books that many people probably owned without realizing it was the same artist. Some examples include princess sticker books, fairies, elves, and fairy themed activity books, and unicorn themed paint and magic books. These projects really show where her fantasy and whimsical aesthetic developed, and I think we see that today in her coloring books. So at some point, Ella's style started becoming really popular with the adult coloring community, especially people who love cozy coloring, cute spooky themes, kawaii art, cottagecore, seasonal books, and comfort coloring. Her style fits perfectly into the current cozy hobby trend, but I would argue that she also just kind of just fits into coloring in general. I personally am not one, if you've been on my channel, that owns a lot of the typical cute and cozy books, but I love Ella's style and the way that she draws her illustrations because, like I said, there's somewhere in between. So let's first talk about Creepy Kawaii Halloween. Now, this book is one that really helped boost her popularity online. This book became especially popular during spooky season last year, I believe, because it mixes Halloween themes and adorable kawaii art. And this is, again, one of my favorite books. I actually have this on the list of books that I'd like to complete someday because I think that she just did a really amazing job with that book, and it's one of my favorite. I can't wait to pull it out again this year. She also did Color Me Christmas for Kids. And as we all know, the for kids part, let's just call that a suggestion because these books really are not necessarily for kids. They're for adults too. This is another title I've seen mentioned repeatedly in coloring groups and Reddit discussions. And I know a lot of us own the Color Me Christmas for Kids book too and picked that one up over the last Christmas season. She also illustrated a book, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but it's F Off, I'm Adorable. Now, that's a super fun book. It's a humor based coloring release featuring cute imagery mixed with curse words. And I have thought about getting this book, even though I'm not a huge fan of like words on illustrations, but just because it's Ella's work and it does look really super cute, I haven't thought about getting that one. And then, of course, she also has Color Me Easter for Kids, which is a newer release. You've seen that one on my channel as well. And then she has Color Me Mermaids, which I'm coloring right now. Now, let's talk about some of her upcoming releases. She has a book coming out this year called Cozy Kawaii Christmas. Now, this says that it's a newer upcoming release featuring 50 festive coloring pages with cozy Christmas imagery. So, this sounds like it's going to be basically the Christmas version of Creepy Kawaii Halloween, but without like creepy characters, more Christmas characters. I cannot wait for this one. I believe I already have this pre ordered because I'm super excited about it. And then another one I found that I had not heard of yet is Cozy Cottage Magic, which I also saw was coming out this year. And this book says that it includes enchanted reading nooks, woodland animals, glowing lanterns, cottagecore fantasy scenes, and magical cozy interiors. And honestly, this sounds like something the coloring community is absolutely going to lose their minds over. I think that it's going to be a really fun book. I tried to find any sort of little sneak peeks of any of the images that might be in there. I only was able to really find one, so I'm hoping that more come out closer to the release because this is one that I'm pretty sure that I want, but I wasn't quite sure enough like I was with the Christmas one to pre-order it. So I am excited to see what that one ends up being like. I think Ella Jarzabek represents something a lot of colorists are looking for right now, including authentic human illustration, cozy, comforting art, approachable pages, and books that feel genuinely relaxing, especially now that so many people are frustrated trying to avoid IA generated coloring book IA AI generated coloring books. Artists with recognizable hand-drawn styles are becoming even more appreciated, and Ella's work has definitely become part of that conversation. So, as I said, I really loved doing this deep dive into Ela Jarzabek, her background, her artistic style, and the evolution of her work over the years. I still very much plan on her continuing to be one of my favorite illustrators, and I can't wait to see what else she creates, especially with how popular her books have been lately. I'm really, really excited for her upcoming releases. Can't wait to see what else she has in store for us. I would love to know down in the comments what is your favorite Ela Jarzabek book, and do you own any of her newer books like the Color Me Easter for Kids or Color Me Mermaids for Kids? And what artist would you like to see me deep dive into next? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Good morning, good night, good middle of the night, depending on when you're watching. Happy coloring.